I will say this. Like I said, we're going to go to that game regardless of what the cost is. But my concern is, going back to the parking, is that first game, what kind of cluster F is it going to be for everybody in that first game?
Nobody knows what they're going to do.
Unless they come up, like I said, unless they come up with a comprehensive plan that says, this is where you can park, this is how much it costs, this is what you do for the light rail, this and that.
So I have my plan. I'm obviously not going to say it on the podcast.
Why?
I think I have a plan too, actually, now.
I mean, I don't want anyone else to know.
Do you have a secret? Do you have a secret tunnel?
No, but it's a good parking spot that is on the light rail.
Is it a secret parking spot?
No, it's not too secret.
Okay.
I don't want to take your secret. Hopefully, this isn't it. But what about because like I told you, my concern is the light rail traffic, and I am honestly really concerned about that. So how about this idea? How about I park in Minneapolis or pick the spot anywhere and take an Uber to the stadium?
You can do Uber. You know what? Uber's another good thing because I think there will be a lot of people taking Ubers.
That's probably the way to go.
We've taken Ubers to TCF Bank. It's not that costly.
Well,
for you,
and never mind the cost, but you're avoiding the parking. You don't even have to worry about parking. Where to park? How much is it? Who cares?
Traffic.
They drop you off and they pick you up.
See, that's the thing with me though. You guys live in the You guys live within the 494 corridor. I don't. I live outside of it.
Well, technically, I don't.
So, no, you do.
I live a mile outside.
No, you live in the 494 corridor. You're in the, I guess not. You're a little bit north. But 610 is kind of like that now.
Yeah.
But I live, in Otsego, which is outside of it by 15 miles, right? So for me to Uber, just to get to your house, it's $30. And that's probably another $30 for me to get from your house to Minneapolis with an Uber. If I can get an Uber. Because I've tried at my house, and it's like there's no Ubers up there. Or there's one Uber, and he's an XL, and he charges more. And I'm going, come on, dude, why would you have an XL up here? But anyways, I think the big thing, I think a lot of people will park in Minneapolis and take light rail over. Or your idea, Dave, they will Uber it from wherever, which is a good idea. Is there any big news from the phone call? Was there any kind of...
Well, I think the biggest thing was, and I mean, we've talked about this at length, so I'll just kind of mention it. The fact that we finally had a admission by the front office that this was a soft opening.
Yeah.
We kind of always speculated that the team was kind of building toward Allianz. The team has always been combative of that, denying that. And, of course, Chris Wright, who joined the team in January, suddenly just comes right out and says it.
And wasn't the word he used patience? Did he use that word, patience?
Yeah. He used patience. I've been a big proponent of, let's follow we have a plan. Let's keep a plan. You've kind of been you've disagreed a little bit.
I'm kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
I think there's a point to be patient, but at the same time,
we haven't held hands in a car and jumped off the cliff like Thelma and Louise yet.
Right.
We haven't done that yet.
No.
And I told you, if it gets bad enough, I will totally hold your hand, get in that car, and jump off that cliff with you.
Right.
I will.
And this does kind of follow up with what we touched on a couple episodes ago at Beer Garden Germania. I think we were talking about this point. There's a bit of a fine line. Yes, okay, we don't have the stadium. There was 2 years in front of the new stadium. But there's a fine line. That's all fine and good. Build up to that opening year where they know they're going to sell out all those games. But there's a fine line. We're an MLS franchise here. We have 2 seasons under our belt. We need to improve and build on it.
Every year you have to improve, and I think this year they've improved.
Yeah,
they have.
Yeah. Next year, my hope is next year new stadium that they improve again, and people are excited to go to that stadium. I want there to be energy at that stadium.
There will be.
And I hope that first. I know there will be that first. That's why I want to go to that first game so bad, because I know there's going to be energy there, and you're going to feel it, and I want to feel it so bad.
Doesn't it feel like a lifetime ago? Now, I'm not knocking the atmosphere because the atmosphere is great. I'll just preface it by saying that. But 2 years ago, the first season, the first 2 or 3 games where they just got outplayed.
Yeah,
it was 6-1 or 5-1.
Yeah.
Right.
But it seems like a lifetime ago now. So
I miss I miss the energy and we're up in Invictus in Blaine, and we're right across the street from the National Sports Center. I miss the energy from the National Sports Center.
Yes, I agree with you, Tony, but the numbers just weren't there.
The numbers weren't there, but
it was
but the crowd,
6,000.
The crowd there
Yeah.
was so like involved, and I so enjoyed standing behind those goalies and yelling at those goalies from the opposite team.
I knew you were going to say
and
that.
having them hear me and turn around and be like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm just yelling things. I loved that.
That and the atmosphere with the food trucks and
The beer, the food
yeah.
trucks,
Yeah.
the whole like small town,
Yeah.
deal, right? And I hope that Allianz Field is a little bit like that.
Right.
I hope it's not too big, too corporate. I hope there's some kind of I'll call it togetherness. I hope that there's a community there, because unlike other sports, other than probably football, I mean Vikings football, you go to a game there, and the whole crowd, you feel like you're part of something. I go to Twins games. I don't feel like I'm part of the Twins fans. I just don't. You go to Timberwolves games. I don't feel like I'm part of. I'm there watching the game. The Wild, I think, have a good thing going on. My hope is that the Loons have that feeling of intimacy at Allianz Field that gets the crowd behind them and picks up their team.
Yeah.
They have a thing like Sporting KC. That stadium, I want it to be like that.
Yeah.
I want it to be like
Totally agree.
everybody's cheering. Supporter section's got the flags going and the big signs and everything. I want that to happen.
Yeah, in a perfect world, I mean, we all should be excited. I just look at it like, man, this could be so big. Even new fans, you want new fans to come in and just buy in, and to be such a strong community, a strong supporting group. I think there's a lot to look forward to.
I want new fans so they listen to our podcast.
Yes, and it certainly will help.
That would be
There's
nice.
no doubt about it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
So, conference call was great, Dave. I think we got a lot of information about the news. I mean, the beer thing was, for me, was a huge thing.
Yeah, and I think they're a little bit more open than
Yeah.
expected to be.
Well, it's good. We want them to be a little transparent.
Yeah.
Because we talked before on this podcast about them not being transparent with what's going on, and I think from the notes you gave us from that, they were a little more transparent. This
Yeah, I think so.
time.
It's not panic by any means.
Yeah. So let's quickly, before we end this podcast, let's quickly talk about the World Cup, because France beat Croatia. I had money on England, and I lost. Dave, you guys had money on
Belgium. So we both got knocked out in the semifinal.
Yeah.
Nice for France. Great for them.
20-year anniversary.
20 anniversary.
Of their first one.
Exactly
so.
right. I don't know about you guys. When it came down to the championship game, I wasn't as excited as I thought I would be.
Honestly, I wasn't either, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
know why that is. I think if England was in it, I would have been excited.
I'd like to think it wasn't because the team that I was betting on wasn't in the final. There was something else too, and I mean, I think it was. For me, it was special because France won on their 20th anniversary, which was. I think I've mentioned it earlier. Even it was basically my 20th anniversary of getting into soccer because I was in Montreal when France won in 1998. I didn't even know what the World Cup was. I literally didn't.
I remember you talking about that.
And that put it on the map, soccer, for me. I was like, what is going on? Why do all these people care about this? And from that day forward, so for me, it was a little bit, that's cool. France won on the 20th. But there was something missing. I can't put my finger on it, I don't think.
There was such a huge lead-up to the game, right? I mean,
fantastic World Cup, though.
It was a great time. We watched, all of us, I think, watched lots of games this year. And there was a fantastic lead-up. The Germany game against Sweden at Beer Garden, Germania was... I've never been in a situation like that where I had fans of a team who were so...
Right.
Especially Johnny. I watched a lot of games. I liked the lead-up to it, but then the championship game came and it just kind of... It was blah.
You know what it might be? And maybe that I just told you I couldn't put a finger on it, but I guess if I had to guess, here's why. Because you have a France and then you have Croatia. I mean, all the credit in the world to Croatia for getting there. But it's not a France and Brazil. It's not a France and Germany. It's not the two powerhouses.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Well, and even that, if you consider the semifinals themselves, I mean, Belgium was new, Croatia was new,
Yeah.
France was the big guy, England hasn't exactly been stellar. So you had 3 of the 4 that were just kind of not supposed to be there.
I think if it was a France-England final, it would have been much bigger.
Oh yeah,
It would have been huge.
I agree.
I mean that's just
Yeah, it would have been
natural
huge.
rivalry.
Having Croatia in there, I mean, my hat's off to them.
Yeah.
They had a great World Cup. But they're not the international powerhouse that other teams are.
Yeah, and then Dave, I know you want to touch on this point, but I mean, like, actually, one of before this World Cup, but especially going into this World Cup, one of the players that I really enjoyed watching was Luka Modric, and
Right.
I know you can comment on that, but
Yeah, I mean he had the golden ball, which
Yeah.
and I
which,
guess I didn't realize that. When did they announce that? Right after the game ended, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is a lot of people wanted Eden Hazard from Belgium, and I looked at their stats, and I mean they're almost identical. I mean it was incredible.
Yeah.
And so you had Modric had 2 goals, assists. Hazard I think had 3 goals and assist. It was just very similar. So you had the Golden Boot went to Harry Kane.
Yeah.
So an Englander managed to get it. You had Courtois from Belgium got the Golden Gloves. He had an 82% save ratio, which is incredible.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, like you mentioned, Dave, it was overall it was a fantastic World Cup.
Yeah.
A lot of teams didn't do what people thought they would do, and a lot of teams did more than people thought they would.
Germany being one of the big ones.
Yeah.
My big problem with the final was I wanted it to be a Harry Kane coming out party. I wanted him to be on that big stage and do something, and then we'd have another star in international soccer to go along with the other guys, right? And I wanted that so bad because we need another one.
Right.
Okay.
Well, maybe he's getting there. I mean, obviously a World Cup appearance or victory would have helped. But I mean, when was the last time an England player got the Golden Boot in a World Cup?
I don't think
1966. I don't even. It might not even been
I don't
then.
even know. Yeah.
Was it Adrian Heath?
Yeah.
He never got to play in the national team. I think I'll leave a joke with it. Is the reason England didn't have success was because they had so many Spurs players on the team.
Wow.
Because the Spurs are notorious for choking at the end of the season, and look what happened to England. They choked at the end of it. Obviously, being a Chelsea supporter, Arsenal fans will get that joke as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a good World Cup. It was underwhelming in the final.
Yeah. Well, the final was underwhelming.
It's nice to see that Croatia did so well.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that Modric finally got some recognition that he deserves as a player. France certainly deserved to win it.
Yeah, I think from a USA fan, as we all are here, I think it was probably as good as we could hope for us from a World Cup, because my concern with the USA not making the World Cup would have been, we're going to take a step backwards as far as the soccer interest in this country.
Yeah.
But I think a World Cup like that didn't hurt us as far as the USA is concerned.
I did see something on the internets that said that viewership was down.
What? Really?
Like 42%.
Do you think that's part? Okay, sorry, Dave. Do you think that's because it was Fox and not ESPN? I'm a little.
I don't even think it was that.
No.
I think it was the United States not being in it.
I don't even think it was that.
Really?
I think it was viewership was actually up, but there were so many organized parties, viewing parties. There were so much more availability of free streaming.
Sure, yeah.
That people just didn't tune in on TV.
Turn on TV, yeah.
I mean, I would bet 60% of the games, and only 2 of them I watched on TV.
But don't you think they take the viewership on streaming into account, though?
They do. They have to.
don't?
They have to.
That particular article that said 40%.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw the same one.
It's
They
just
do
TV.
not. It's
Okay.
just television.
So maybe viewership was around the same then.
I mean, and there were a lot of people that I saw online that on social media that argued that they're like, look, there are too many variables playing in how today's culture
Yeah,
is.
then
Well, think about the World Cup final, right? You probably had 1,000 people at Brits.
Right. I mean,
That's 1,000 people.
they were at capacity. I remember them saying they were at capacity. It was one in, one out. So
Yeah.
I mean,